What if I told you that your bank makes more money when you're broke than when you're rich? What if I told you that credit scores were invented to keep you trapped in debt forever? What if I told you that banks have secret departments whose only job is to make sure you never pay off your loans? And what if I told you that the entire banking system would collapse? If everyone became debt-free tomorrow, by the end of this video, you'll understand why banks are your financial enemy disguised as your friend. You'll discover the psychological tricks they use to keep you borrowing. You'll learn about the secret algorithms that determine your financial fate. And most importantly, you'll learn how to break free from their trap forever. Because what you're about to hear will make you question every financial decision you've ever made. Picture this scene. It's 3 a.m. in Charlotte, North Carolina, inside bank of America's corporate headquarters. A team of data scientists is working through the night. They're not trying to help customers. They're trying to trap them on their computer. Screens are millions of profiles. Your profile, your spending habits, your salary, your weaknesses. Their job is simple. Figure out exactly how much debt each person can handle. Without going bankrupt, they call it the maximum extraction algorithm. It's designed to keep you in debt for life. Here's how it works. The algorithm analyzes your spending patterns. It knows you buy coffee every Tuesday. It knows you splurge on weekends. It knows when you're stressed because your spending changes. Then it sends you a pre-approved credit card offer, not for $5,000, not for $20,000, for the exact amount that will maximize their profit. While keeping you trapped forever, Sarah from Denver got an offer for $7,843. That specific number wasn't random. The algorithm calculated that Sarah could pay $180 per month for the rest of her working life, never paying off the balance, always making minimum payments, $180 per month for 40 years. That's $86,400 in total payments. For a $7,843 debt, Sarah doesn't know this. She thinks she's getting a great deal. But Bank of America just calculated how to extract $78,557 in pure profit from one customer. But credit cards are just the beginning. The real money is in mortgages and the mortgage industry has a dirty secret. They don't want you to pay off your house. Let me show you something that will blow your mind. A typical 30-year mortgage for $300,000 at 7% interest. Total payments over 30 years. $719,457. That's $419,457 in interest. More than the house actually cost, but here's the twisted part. For the first 10 years, almost every payment goes to interest. Your principal barely drops. Year 1, you pay $24,000. Only $3,200 goes to principal. Year 5, you pay $24,000 only. $4,100 goes to principal. Year 10, you pay $24,000 only. $5,800 goes to principal. You're not buying a house. You're renting money. For 3 decades, and banks have designed the system to make sure you never escape. They offer 40-year mortgages, 50-year mortgages, interest-only mortgages. Reverse mortgages. Every option keeps you paying forever. Now let me tell you about the credit score scam. Most people think credit scores measure how good you are with money. They don't. Credit scores measure how profitable you are to banks. Here's proof. If you pay off all your debts, your credit score goes down. If you have no credit history, banks call you credit invisible. Ain't like you don't exist. If you pay cash for everything, you can't get a mortgage, even if you have $500,000 in the bank. The system punishes people who don't borrow money, because debt-free people don't generate profit. FICO, the company that creates credit scores, is owned by banks. They literally control the algorithm that determines your financial life, and they've designed it to force you into debt. Want a good credit score? You need to borrow money. You need to carry balances. You need to show banks you're willing to pay interest. It's not a score of financial health. It's a score of financial obedience. But the most sinister trick is psychological. Banks have spent billions studying your brain. They know exactly how to make you spend money. You don't have department stores pump certain scents that make you buy more. Credit card companies use specific colors that trigger spending. Apps send notifications designed to create financial FOMO. But the darkest trick is something called payment abstraction. Physical cash feels real. You can touch it, count it, watch it disappear. Digital payments feel fake. Swipe to tap, a click. Your brain doesn't register the loss. Studies show people spend 12 to 18% more with cards than with cash. Banks know this. That's why they're eliminating cash. Cashless society isn't about convenience. It's about removing the psychological barrier to spending. When everything is digital, spending becomes frictionless, and debt becomes inevitable. Let me tell you about Marcus from Chicago. Marcus thought he was smart. He paid off his credit cards. Every month, never carried a balance, never paid interest. Banks hate customers like Marcus. They call them deadbeats. People who use the system without generating profit. So Chase Bank sent Marcus a letter. We're closing your account due to inactivity. Marcus wasn't inactive. He used the card regularly, but he wasn't profitable, so they fired him as a customer. This happens to thousands of people every month. Banks literally get rid of customers who don't pay interest because their business model requires your debt. Without your monthly payments, they can't survive. Now here's where it gets really dark. Banks don't just want your debt. They want your family's debt. For generations, there's a department inside JP Morgan Chase called Generational Wealth Transfer. Their job is to make sure debt passes from parents to children. They offer co-signed loans for college students. If the student can't pay, the parents become liable. They offer family mortgages where multiple generations share the debt they offer. Inheritance financing, where people borrow against money they haven't inherited yet. It's generational debt slavery, and they're proud of it. Internal documents show they track customer lifetime value across family trees. Your debt today, your children's debt tomorrow, your grandchildren's debt forever. It's a multi-generational business model built on keeping entire families trapped. But here's the secret they're terrified you'll discover. The entire banking system is built on a lie. When you take out a loan, banks don't lend you existing money. They create new money out of thin air. With a few keystrokes, this is called fractional reserve banking, and it's the biggest scam in human history. Here's how it works. You deposit $1,000 in the bank. The bank keeps $100. They lend out $900 to someone else, but your account still shows $1,000. The borrower now has $900 cash. Total money in circulation, $1,900. The bank just created $900 out of nothing. Then they charge interest on money that didn't exist. It's literally creating wealth from thin air, then forcing you to work years of your life to pay it back. With real labor, real time, real effort, for money that was never real. So what happens if everyone discovers this secret? What if people realize they're working decades to pay back digital entries in a computer? What if everyone decides to pay off their debts and never borrow again? The entire system collapses overnight. Banks need new borrowers every month to pay the interest on old loans. If lending stops, the money creation stops. If money creation stops, the economy crashes. They're not just encouraging debt, they're dependent on it. Your debt is literally keeping the banking system alive. That's why interest rates drop every time the economy slows. That's why banks offer 0% financing. That's why credit is everywhere. They need you to borrow, or the whole system dies. But here's the beautiful part. Once you understand the game, you can stop playing. Step 1. Stop borrowing money. For anything. Cars, furniture, vacations, nothing. If you can't afford to buy it with cash, you can't afford it. Step 2. Pay off your smallest debt first. Ignore the interest rates. Focus on eliminating the number of monthly payments. Each paid-off debt is psychological freedom. Step 3. Build an emergency fund. 6 months of expenses. In cash, this breaks the cycle of borrowing for emergencies. Step 4. Invest the difference. Every dollar you're not paying in interest can be invested. Compound interest working for you instead of against you. Step 5. Teach others. The more people who understand this system, the weaker it becomes. Knowledge is the only weapon against financial manipulation. Banks spend billions on marketing to convince you that debt is normal. Student loans are good debt. Mortgages are leveraging your money. Credit cards are building your credit. It's all propaganda, designed to normalize your enslavement. But debt is never normal for most of human history. People bought things with money they had, not money they hoped to earn someday. The debt economy is only 50 years old, and it's destroying lives. Marriages end over money fights. People work jobs they hate to make payments. Mental health suffers. It's under financial stress. Also, banks can extract wealth from your labor. Imagine a world where nobody owed money to banks, where your paycheck was yours to keep, where financial stress didn't exist, where you worked because you wanted to, not because you had to make payments. That world is possible, but only if we stop playing their game. Every person who becomes debt-free weakens their system. Every family that breaks the cycle prevents generational slavery. Every dollar you don't borrow is profit they don't make. You have more power than you realize. They need you more than you need them. The banking industry's greatest sphere isn't economic collapse, it's financial education. They spend fortunes making sure schools don't teach real financial literacy. They fund financial education programs that encourage borrowing. They create confusion around investing, taxes, money, because an educated consumer is their worst nightmare. But you're here, watching this video, seeking the truth, learning how the system really works. That terrifies them, because knowledge is contagious. One person tells another, who tells another, who tells another. And suddenly, their system of control starts cracking. The revolution won't start with protests. It won't start with politics. It will start with personal responsibility, with individual choices, with people saying no to unnecessary debt. It starts with you. Right now, today. Every payment you avoid, every balance you pay off, every person you educate is a step toward financial freedom, not just for you, but for everyone. If this video opened your eyes to how banks really make money, hit that like button and subscribe for more financial truths they don't want you to know. Comment below. What's the first debt you're going to pay off? Because the moment you decide to break free, is the moment you take back control of your life. The banks are counting on your ignorance. Prove them wrong.